Hi, this is Randall Schwartz, host of FLOSS Weekly. This week we have 5 small interviews from OSCON 2013. Simon Phipps ran around with his video camera and got some great little interviews. You're not going to want to miss this, so stay tuned.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for FLOSS Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is FLOSS Weekly with Randall Schwartz and Simon Phipps. Episode 259, published July 31st, 2013. OSCON 2013. It's time for FLOSS Weekly, the show about free, libre, open source software. I am your host, Randall Schwartz, Merlin at Stonehenge.com, bringing you as often as I can, each week, getting close to each week, the movers, the shakers, the big projects, the small projects, all sorts of projects. I would normally at this point introduce my co-host, except my co-host isn't physically here, or actually, well, not even here in real time. Simon Phipps is my co-host this week, but he did all of his work last week at OSCON 2013 when we were together there in Portland, Oregon. We did a live interview from there, but we also, Simon ran around with his little camera and got 5 really great recordings. So we're going to bring them on this week, a little clip show, I guess we're going to call it. We've got 5 great interviews. First up would be Jeff Hawkins of Numenta. He's the inventor of the Palm Pilot. He's going to talk about his new work applying the neuroscience to big data and his reasons for making the core technology open source. Second up, none other than Mark Shuttleworth of Canonical. The founder of Ubuntu talks about his new crowdsourced Ubuntu Edge phone and explains some of the thinking behind it. Now, we did talk about this project back in episode 252 back in May with good old John O'Bacon, the former co-host of this show. Michael Dale and Zohar Bobbin are going to be up talking about Kaltura. That's Kaltura's video products, their open source credentials, and their upcoming competition and conference. Zohar is actually going to be on in just 2 more weeks for a much longer interview. Then next up is Todd Green of Media Temple. They're going to explain why they give back to open source. By the way, Media Temple was my client of about 20 months in duration, and although it's mentioned in the interview snip that the Media Temple microphone is being used a lot, I'm no longer using it. I'm using my own microphone back again. And then finally, wrapping it up, a really short interview with Bradley Kuhn, because apparently when we had Bradley Kuhn on in episode 171 back in 2011, I left out 2 very essential questions. Just want to make sure those get covered. Okay, so that's the lineup of the 5, and we'll go right into the interviews.
So I'm here with Jeff Hawkins. This is the guy that invented the Palm Pilot. In somewhere else in this show, we've seen Mark Shuttleworth talking about his Edge phone. This is the guy that created the market that Mark is now trying to sell into.
We actually created one of the first smartphones, the Trio.
Absolutely. So fantastic to meet you, Jeff. I still long for graffiti on all of my smartphones. So you're not doing Palm Pilots anymore.
No.
So tell me about your true passion.
My true passion, and it has been for over 30 years, is neuroscience, understanding how the human brain works, the neocortex, and building machines that work on those same principles. So the whole period at Palm and Handspring where that was sort of a sideshow. It was like an actor who couldn't get a job acting. They would go wait tables. Well, I couldn't get the gig I wanted in neuroscience, so I was building mobile computing. I love it. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was totally excited about it. But my real passion is really brains, how they work, and building machines that work on the same principles.
Right. So now you've been working most recently on software that can predict the future.
Well, that's right. We've actually been working on modeling, figuring out how parts of the neocortex work, which is the big wrinkly thing on top of your head, and we figured out first what it does, and then how it does it, a layer of cells there. But we've been applying it to problems where you can take streams of data, model the data, and then predict the future. So we actually have a product called Grok, which takes data from like windmills and energy meters and other machines, and it can predict future values. You can detect when anomalies are occurring, things like that. So we have that sort of business side to what we're doing. But we're here at OSCON to talk about a new open source project where we take these learning algorithms, which are essentially models of the neocortex, or a slice of the neocortex, and putting them in an open source project.
Right. So that new open source project, you're launching it?
It's already launched. It's been up for a couple of months now. It's called NewPick, the Numenta Platform for Intelligent Computing. It is it's the same code tree that we use in our product. So this is, you can go and see what we're releasing every day. We have an active community already, and so we had our first hackathon. It's only been going for a couple of months, but it's gone pretty well so far. We're pretty excited about it.
So what would I use that for as an open source hacker?
There's a number of reasons that you might be interested in this. People are interested in applying it to new problems. We're applying it to machine generated data, but there's lots of other applications where people might apply it to. You might apply it to, in the same vein as we're using a Grok, you might apply it to financial type of data. You might apply it to new types of new sources of data that we don't look at. We're focused on certain things. There's a lot of people who are interested in taking it and building more complex systems, robotics, vision, music, things like that. And this requires extending the algorithms and making it's a memory system, so making them bigger, putting them in a hierarchy, and so on. So the sort of people who want to apply to existing products, like I want to predict something. There's people who want to build new types of products, people interested in language, semantics, and so on. And then there's people who are interested in pure research. They're doing mathematical sort of analysis of these algorithms. So it's kind of broad. You know, we're talking about the beginning of building brains in software and hardware. And that's a big field. It's going to be huge, and so it's just getting started. And I should mention, by the way, we have a number of people interested in doing hardware implementations of these algorithms. So there's some big companies, IBM, Seagate, some others who actually have programs on the way because they're pretty excited about this stuff.
So I'd sum that up as using brain science to work out how to handle big data.
It's one way of looking at it. It's again, I'm a neuroscientist, so I always want to talk about the neuroscience. But from a hacker point of view or a coding point of view, today what you can do with it is yes, you can stream fast data to it, and it builds models of the data in an online fashion. Meaning, every record that comes in, it's updating the model. It makes predictions. You can, and you can detect anomalies. I'll give you an example. A simple example. What we actually did and used it for is people are interested in predicting energy usage. So a building consumes energy throughout the day. It's up and down all the time, depending on what the building's doing, what's going on. And if you could predict what the energy consumption 4 hours from now or 24 hours from now, it's sometimes advantageous. You could pre-cool the building, or there's a thing called demand response where you can basically buy energy at different prices. That's the kind of thing we do with our product Grok today. It works very well at that. It's constantly learning. If the patterns in the world change, it adapts to it automatically.
So what was it that made you give up Palm Pilots, which were awesome, and get into neuroscience instead? Well,
I think brain science, understanding the brain, how it works, and building intelligent machines is actually a bigger societal impact longer term than mobile computing. Much larger. Well, mobile computing, absolutely. Everyone in the world is going to have a computer in their pocket. It's a process for democratization and education. So that's all great. But most people don't realize yet how big intelligent machines are going to be, and it's sort of like starting the whole computing industry over again. And so we're in my talk today I mentioned we're like 1950s in computing. 1950s in computing was when they were just starting to build computers. They were just starting to be useful, but we had decades of advances still to go. We are starting to build intelligent machines that work on the principles of the brain. We're just getting started, and there's going to be decades, but where it's going, it's just going to be unbelievable. We're going to be able to build machines that are a million times faster than we are. We're going to be able to build machines that have much more memory than we are. They're going to be machines that can sense things that we can't sense. And so it's hard to know where it's going to go, just like in 1950 it's hard to know where the computers are going to go. But intelligent machines that learn, and the way the brains do, it's just going to have an amazing impact on society and the earth and humanity.
So how do you think being an open source project is going to contribute towards achieving that vision for you?
Well, first, my goal has always been to make this happen sooner, to be a catalyst for this. So, anything I can do to spread ideas is a good thing. I'm not in this at this point in time to make a lot of money off of this. I'm in this because I think it's cool, it's fun, it's good to do, it's important. So I waited even though we made this technical scientific discovery 4 years ago and we published it, I waited until we had real demand before we made an open source project. I want people to come to me, and they did. People come to us and they said, can you give us the source code to this? It's really cool. We want to work on it. I want to use my PhD thesis on this. We want to embed it. So when people asked us, we said, great. And of course, this is my goal from the beginning. So, it can't help but, putting these ideas out there, putting the code out there, showing how this stuff works. Some number of people are going to pick it up and go, this is great, I get it, and they're going to invest in it. And I think that, it's not something anyone can own. It's not one thing. This is it's like saying who could the computing industry be closed? No, it couldn't. It had to have lots of competitors, lots of ideas, and this is like that. This is not something any person or company can own. So it's got to be out there.
Well, it's been fantastic to talk to you and great to see you here at OSCON. I wish you every success with the project you're working on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's NewPick, and Nementa.org is the URL.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm here with Mark Shuttleworth from Canonical. Great to see you again, Mark.
Great to see you.
So you've just had a tremendous hit on Indiegogo with a new project. Can you tell me about it?
We had a brilliant day one for the project, but there's a marathon still to go as we push through to the finish line.
You cleared 10% of your $32 million goal in 12 hours or something.
Broke the record for time to $1 million, broke the record for time to $2 million, broke the record for a first day, but we have to smash the total record to succeed.
Yeah, so there's still 90% to go.
Yeah.
So what is this project about?
So the project is really about the dynamics of innovation in the mobile industry. Through no fault of their own, the big players are essentially extremely conservative about how they bring new innovation, new components, new technologies into phones, and similarly for PCs. The reason for that is they have no clear signaling from the market as to what's really exciting, what's really interesting, what people are really going to want. So they rely either on mystical genius, a la Steve Jobs, or luck. Or generally they end up being really conservative. So the idea is to use crowdfunding to take a concept of stuff that might be really amazing in a device, validate that concept by seeing if there are enough people to back the project, and then being able to test the new technologies and components and sort of moderate or modest production volumes, but thereby bringing forward the time when those sorts of technologies will be widely available in the mass market.
So you've compared that to the way that Formula One feeds innovation into the motor industry. It's that sort of an idea.
Sure. Today, there's no gap between there's a huge gap between the lab and mass market, automobiles, and we're all driving mass market automobiles. In the car industry, you have Formula One, which is sort of really cutting edge. And then you have sort of very premium segments where, again, those technologies would go next, and then you have the mass market. And so what we're trying to do is show that innovation, selection, and proving can happen, through crowdfunding.
Right. So now you're trying to get the best of breed technologies into the physical device, as well as trying to produce an innovative operating system in the shape of the Ubuntu phone software that you've got.
Right, so we're working with phone manufacturers. That's kind of how we got interested in this idea of the innovation cycle. We have a particular passion, which is convergence, the idea that your phone could also be the heart of the PC. And that is stretching a little bit beyond what phone manufacturers have on their horizons for the next 1 or 2 years. We think it's totally possible, but there's no sort of there's no mechanism to test that out today. So in this case, the concept phone essentially is capable of being a desktop as well as a phone. It has dramatically more RAM. It's also testing some new components, some new battery technology, some new screen technology, and other capabilities. If it's green lighted, then the technologies in that device, if they're successful, will be widely available a year ahead of where they would otherwise have been.
So what's this device going to be like?
So this is a physical model of it. You go through an intense design process. Here you go. Present the edge. You go through an intense design process, essentially selecting technologies, then essentially working with the design manufacturer to get a sense of whether things are feasible to make, and then looking at the industrial design. We're fortunate in Canonical, because we're so focused on design of the software, we were able to reach out into the design community and work with some really great guys who've done this. It echoes a lot of the software design stories that we have, but it introduces a really nice industrial edge to it.
And then that's going to end up being a smartphone when it's a phone and a desktop PC when there's an HDMI monitor plugged in.
That's exactly right. So it has MHL and docking that, connecting that up to any HDMI monitor with a Bluetooth keyboard gives you a full PC experience. Either with Android in the form of an Ubuntu desktop that's running off your Android phone and has access to all of those files and contacts and so on, or in the case of Ubuntu where you have Ubuntu on the phone and giving you the desktop environment simultaneously.
Right. And so when is this going to be ready? I admit that I've actually ordered one. So when am I going to get my phone, Mark?
30 days to decision, which is the green lighting of the project. If it's green lighted, May 2014.
Okay. Can I come over and pick it up from the office in London?
You can come and pick it up in person, or we will ship it straight to you.
Okay. Well, I was hoping you were going to deliver it to me, but
in your case, I might deliver it in person. It would be a privilege.
Yeah. Right. Well, congratulations on breaking the world record for crowdfunding in a single day. You've got a long way to go. I saw you put up some more offers today. And
yeah, so as we kind of figure out what works, what people are rallying to, we'll tweak the perks and the offers. I think the credit sits with the team that led this idea, and also with the people who've backed it, who've been incredible, and with Indiegogo, which is a really great crowdfunding platform. They've been super to work with. You can imagine behind the scenes, we've had to work with PayPal and clear a lot of regulatory and other hurdles to take on something like this.
So what's going to be in there? That's all going to be free software?
Yes, so we'll ship this with Android and Ubuntu. There are no plans to put proprietary applications on it. We haven't finalized the silicon selection, so we're looking at the next generation silicon from all of the major vendors. I would like to ship it with all free drivers. What's really interesting is how this is driving the evolution of the free software desktop in the form of Unity and Ubuntu, and also how the work that's going into the phone is transforming the cloud as well. So if this ends up with an ARM processor, it'll be running exactly the same version of Ubuntu that's running on the ARM Moonshot service from HP, which is kind of incredible.
Right. So anything else you want to say about the project?
No, other than thank you very much to all of the folks who have backed us, and if green lighted, we will work our guts out to deliver an incredible device that makes all sorts of new possibilities. Oh, and the thing that really excites me about this is there's the hardware angle, right, of essentially inverting the innovation selection process. So instead of having 10 product managers who sweat it trying to decide what's important, we crowdfund innovation, right? We crowd select innovation. But what really is amazing is this will be a phone that can do things that no other portable device has ever done. Imagine what some student at MIT is going to do. Right? The great thing about open source is not the things that we dream are possible, but the fact that other people can turn around and do things that we didn't even think about. And that's pretty amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time and for your intervention in the free software market to drive innovation forward.
It's going to be fun.
So I'm here at OSCON with Michael Dale from Kaltura. Welcome, Michael.
Hello.
So Kaltura, what is Kaltura?
Kaltura is an online video platform, an open source online video platform, and it basically enables you to manage video assets on the web.
Okay, so what would that mean to a FLOSS Weekly viewer?
That basically means if you want to be able to create your own YouTube, that's something that Kaltura enables. It's a complete open source stack for transcoding, ingestion, analytics, monetization, distribution.
Okay.
It's a full platform for doing everything you want to do with online video today.
And so who is using this? Who that we would have heard of is using this?
We have quite a few customers ranging from large media companies like Disney and HBO to a lot of educational institutions using it as sort of like a campus YouTube in order to deliver their lectures and online content to their students.
So now this is in the video area, which is traditionally very patent encumbered. Codecs are a bloodbath.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you're doing it all as open source. Is it real open source, or is it open source as on a swing tag on the outside?
Well, so our primary offering is sort of a SaaS service, a software as a service where we sort of manage all the licensing requirements, and then we also sort of have an on-premise installation where we also sort of do the appropriate licensing for the codecs and then sell it similar to Ubuntu media extensions or any Fluendo also was selling extensions to GStreamer that enabled you to encode and decode some of the patented codecs. And we play that same game as well. But we also do WebM, and we also try to support open codecs, and we've worked with Mozilla and the Wikimedia Foundation on promoting free and open codecs for quite some time.
Right.
It's also something important to us.
So this is all open source. That means it's in some repository somewhere that the viewers can go to and check stuff out?
Yeah, check us out on GitHub/Kaltura. We got all our repositories up there. We just recently have moved our entire server package onto GitHub, so you can actually use very close to exactly what's being offered on our SaaS service, and follow along. And our entire development is taking place in public, and it's a great way to get the inside scoop on a giant production platform of online video distribution.
And how is that all licensed?
We use the AGPL for our content, and that's just to enable other companies that use it, since it's primarily an online service, and that would enable us to ensure that everybody's able to benefit when some other company is using the code and creating new experiences with it, and comes back to the community.
Right, so you'd like people to get involved in that Git project and make pull requests?
Yes, please do. We love pull requests.
Right.
We love, there's a great repository there. You can check it out. There's player.kaltura.com sort of has our entire front-end platform as sort of a visible feature hub there, and then the back-end platform is also available to check it out and check it out locally and play with it and tell us what you think.
Right. And I heard rumor that you have a conference or something coming up and some competitions. What's the deal there?
We have Kaltura Connect is coming up. It's going to be based in New York, and my colleague Zohar will tell you all about it.
So Zohar, tell us about these competitions and about the conference.
So Kaltura Connect is happening on September 30 and October 1st in New York City. I think it's one of the most exciting conferences in the world if you care about online video, if you care about the future of media in general. You're going to meet there a lot of experts from education field, from enterprises, from media and entertainment companies like publishers and broadcasters. This is like a place where everyone is coming to discuss what they do with video, how they build video experiences, how they augment video, and the whole applications of video in all sorts of different industries. Along with Kaltura Connect, we're announcing 3 different contests actually. One is a contest for the future of online video. Basically what we're asking users to do is to tell us how you think video is going to change the world in the next few years. Everything from third world countries to the future of education and how students learn. Building on top of that, the most exciting visions that people share will be selected and actually produced as videos. So we'll offer grants for video creators to create those videos, to actually produce them. And then those videos will be broadcasted and shown at Kaltura Connect in front of all those people. So it's also a great opportunity to visit New York. We'll pay for your travel and your accommodations. And lastly is a really exciting contest for developers, and we're gonna offer $15,000 prize for developers building exciting and new video experiences. So things that are web-based, HTML5 specifically, that will augment the way people engage and interact with video online. And that's it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, both for your interview, and I look forward to hearing more about your video products and your progress in particular with WebRTC over the coming months. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, and check it out on kaltura.org, kaltura.com, and github.com/kaltura.
So I'm here now with Todd Green from a company called Media Temple, and you'll have often run into them as one of the names on Randall's microphones here on Floss Weekly. They're one of the sponsors here at OSCON, and Todd gave a keynote here this morning. Todd and I have been talking about how important it is for hosting providers to give back to the open source community. Can you tell me why you think that, Todd?
Well, because, if you're going to use open source, you should give back to open source. That's the whole nature of the beast. We have really smart people working for us, making really smart products for people to host their really smart projects. You can't take without giving. That's not who Media Temple is. Media Temple has given back to the community. It's been not giving back to the community, it's part of the community. We've been part of the community for the last almost 15 years. You have to, work together, and that was the crux of the keynote that I gave. Is the idea of working together makes projects more successful. It makes projects more longer lasting. It gives people the comfort and the trust that it's going to be there years down the road, so that they can continue to shape it and mold it and develop it.
So what are some of the ways that you are actually giving back to the community? You mentioned jQuery.
Oh, right. Well, we've been a sponsor of jQuery for, gosh, I can't even remember how many years. We sponsor many conferences like this. We host a number of meetups. All of our developers, all of our engineering staff are active members of the community within Los Angeles and around the world. We host the Scale events. We provide servers for a number of hackathons. If you need it and we've got it, we'll give it.
And I believe you're also involved in OpenStack?
Absolutely. Last year we released our first OpenStack product called Helix. It's a private cloud server working in conjunction with Morph Labs. That gave us a taste of what a really nice platform OpenStack is, and we are continuing to develop a number of different products based on OpenStack. We'll continue to be a member of that community as well.
Well, it's been great to have you here at OSCON this year. Thank you very much for continuing to support the community. Not every hosting provider does that. I know of one in the UK in particular that I won't mention, who we've had a lot of trouble with in the open source community this year. So thank you for being one of the good guys. Do you have any last words you'd like to say? Maybe encourage your competitors to outdo you in giving back?
No, I wouldn't. I would say that if the competitors that are here at OSCON, use them. If you don't use us, but choose wisely. That's the thing I have to say, is when you're picking a host, choose wisely.
Great. So, well, Todd Green from Media Temple, thank you very much.
Hi, this is Randall Schwartz. This is Bradley Kuhn. He was on the show, about 2 years ago?
It's been a while, yeah.
But
you forgot something.
I forgot something, so we have to get to it right now here at OSCON. What is your favorite text editor?
Gnu Emacs, of course.
Yay! One for my side. And what is your favorite scripting programming language?
Well, I've done a lot of Python recently, and I'm comfortable in Python, but when I open a text editor in Emacs, of course, I type pound, bang, user bin, Perl as my first thing.
Yay! Two wins. Thank you, Bradley. We appreciate that.
Keep up the great show.
Thank you, yes. Hope you enjoyed those little interviews that we brought to you from OSCON 2013. Coming up soon, coming up next week, in fact, we're back to our normal live show. We're going to bring back, we're going to bring in for the first time OpsView, which is an enterprise server monitor. Following that is Kaltura, as I mentioned before. They in the short interview, they are doing video production, all sorts of wonderful things. Looking forward to that show. We also have got a Salt Stack update. We're going to bring in Thomas Hatch and an associate to talk about things that have happened in Salt in terms of being able to manage stuff in the clouds, mostly more cloudy stuff. And then Clockwork, a language and tools for process control. I still have a few slots left in Q3. I'm still sending out emails to fill those. We've actually had a couple of project leaders write in already. I'm going to just connect up with them, and hopefully they can help me fill Q3 out. You can go to our spreadsheet at twit.tv/floss and see what's upcoming and see when our next shows are and so on. You can follow us on Floss Weekly on Google+, and also at Floss Weekly on Twitter. We do have a live chat when we have live shows, which is almost all of them, that normally goes on live.twit.tv around 8:30 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays. but go to the spreadsheet to find out exactly who's going to be the guest and if we have any time changes. Occasionally we have a time change as well. You can follow me at Merlyn, M-E-R-L-Y-N. I post occasional things there, but most of my original content is showing up on Google Plus these days. That's Randall L. Schwartz on Google Plus. I have plenty of followers there, lots of interaction, mostly about health-related and open source-related topics, and a few other ironic things that I seem to find from time to time. So we're going to be back next week with the normal live show. You can tune in and watch us and watch all the behind-the-scenes stuff. That's a lot of fun. And you can also chat with us and with the guests indirectly. So that's a lot of fun. So we'll look forward to see you all again next time on FLOSS Weekly.